A £2 billion deal to compensate British savers with the collapsed internet bank Icesave has been thrown into doubt after Iceland's president refused to sign it. Days after his parliament agreed the bill, Olafur Ragnar Grimsson said it would now be put to a public referendum instead. A quarter of Iceland's population had asked him to veto the legislation amid fears that the country simply couldn't afford the repayments. But his decision could rekindle the diplomatic row with Britain, as our economics correspondent Faisal Islam now reports.
For months, Iceland, the UK and Holland have painstakingly negotiated a way for this small volcanic island to repay billions of pounds owed since the collapse of Iceland's banks. Iceland's president, until now a mainly ceremonial figure, had been expected to sign the deal into law, but chose not to, pushing the deal into a national referendum that's highly likely to vote no.
It has steadily become more apparent that the people must be convinced that they themselves determine the future course. The involvement of the whole nation in the final decision is therefore the prerequisite for a successful solution, reconciliation and recovery.
Under the deal, Iceland agreed to pay just over £2.3 billion to the UK. Another billion plus was promised to the Netherlands to compensate their Icesave savers. The money would be paid over 15 years, but only starting in 2016. Iceland wanted to limit the maximum payout to no more than 6% of national income in any 1 year. That was rejected by the Anglo-Dutch side, provoking Iceland's unrest. Despite today's shock decision from the Icelandic president, the Treasury still is confident about the return of the £2.3 billion owed to UK taxpayers from Iceland eventually. But there's still a dilemma whether to play things softly as Iceland's internal politics might sort this out, or whether to play hardball and threaten withdrawal of support for the IMF bailout or indeed EU membership.
If the UK wants to get the money back, they need to find a solution which enables the Icelandic economy to make those repayments. If they take a too tough a position, they may push Iceland into bankruptcy, which would mean that they would get none of their money back.
Iceland is certainly still hurting more than a year after the collapse of all its banks. The added burden of debt from the Icesave bill amounts to £11,000 per Icelander, yet the indications from the British Treasury, itself in need of the odd £100 billion in borrowing, is that they'll be patient but insistent international debt collectors.
We, the UK government, expect to be paid, as clearly the Dutch government also expects. The Icelandic people, I think, will realise that it's in the interests of Iceland to be seen to be a good trading partner that is as good as its word.
If this doesn't pan out the way that you're describing, could Britain resort to pressure on the IMF, EU membership talks?
Well, I'm sure that the IMF will take this development into account, and if there wasn't a satisfactory resolution of this matter, it's inevitably going to be an issue for Europe.
So a shambles that began with apparently thrifty British savers chasing illusory high interest rates in mysterious foreign banks is now seeing high finance meeting high diplomacy. Britain and Holland may pressure the IMF to delay a €300 million loan due in weeks, and Iceland is likely to use the veto to try to sweeten the terms of the loan. Lord Myness, what's your response to the Icelandic veto of the Icesave bill?
Well, we're disappointed that the process has been stalled. The Icelandic Parliament and government supported the Icelandic people entering into a commitment to fulfil its obligations to UK and the Netherlands. So this has slowed the process down. But we're confident that the arguments which persuaded the Icelandic government that it was in Iceland's interest to make these payments will be ones that are recognised by the Icelandic people in the referendum.
You must be fearful that we won't get this £2.3 billion back.
I'm very confident that the government of Iceland recognises that if Iceland is to continue to trade as a welcome partner of international banks and other organisations, that it sees that Iceland must honour its obligations. You don't want to be in a position where people say, but this is a government or a nation which stands back from commitments that they've accepted. So I'm confident that the power of those arguments will be recognised by the Icelandic people.
But if Iceland if this goes to referendum, and it seems like the overwhelming will of the Icelandic people is against this bill, where does that leave Britain?
Well, the petition is that there should be a referendum. So because people indicate that they want to see a referendum, should not lead one to assume that they're necessarily going to vote against the payment not being paid. So I think it would be wrong for us to, at this stage, anticipate what will, for the Icelandic people, be a very novel process. As I understand it, Icelandic law doesn't really make provision for a referendum. So we'll have to see how this evolves.
What's your message to the Icelandic people? Surely they will see the idea of having to lumber a debt of £11,000 per Icelander on the basis of some reckless bankers as being, a bit of a bum deal.
Well, I think there are issues here of moral hazard, that countries and their regulators must stand behind their commitments. The Icelandic banking system participated in the European Economic Area. It was allowed to operate branches throughout Europe on the basis that the Icelandic Deposit Guarantee Scheme would stand behind the obligations of those banks. Now, we stepped in as a government immediately to ensure that UK retail depositors got their money back. So there's no risk here to UK retail depositors, but we, the UK government, expect to be paid, as clearly the Dutch government also expects. The Icelandic people, I think, will realise that it's in the interests of Iceland to be seen to be a good trading partner that is as good as its word.
This doesn't pan out the way that you're describing. Could Britain resort to pressure on the IMF, EU membership talks?
Well, I'm sure that the IMF will take this development into account, and if there wasn't a satisfactory resolution of this matter, it's inevitably going to be an issue for Europe, because this would be a case where Iceland was failing to honour its treaty obligations under European legislation. That can't be disregarded. Otherwise we're into a very dangerous situation where governments can choose at a whim not to meet their obligations. But remember, the Icelandic government, Faisal, secured the support of Parliament to agree to make these payments, and I'm confident that they will continue to work to get the right decision out of the referendum.